Okay, today's daf is daf Lamed Zayin. We're holding on Lamed Vav Amud Beis, 3 lines from the bottom with the 2 dots. Gufa. So we had discussed before. Rav and Shmuel, Dari Tarvayu, Rav and Shmuel, who both said, Kol sheyesh boy mechamishes haminin b'varachan alav beri minim zonos. Okay, anything that kol sheyesh bo that has within it from the 5 grains, one would recite a bori minim zonos. Okay, but Imranam, we also learned Ram Bishmul, the Amri Tabayat, they both said, Kol Shehu mi Chamishes Haminin Mevorchan Alav Bar Minim Zos. Anything that is from the 5 grains, meaning not that it has within it, but it is in its entirety. So the Gemara says B'tzricha, and we actually need both of these members, both of these statements, to come together to teach us the Kol Shehu. If we only had the statement of Rav Shmuel, who said that anything that Kol Shehu, that anything that is in its entirety, anything that is 5 minim, I would think have a minim mishum de isa be'ene, because it's in its entirety is the 5 minim. That's 5 different same as on it. But if it was a mixture of other grains or other kinds of substances within it, one would not say mazonas. Kamash malan, that's why we need the statement of kol sheyeshbo, that it has within it. Okay, it can have other mixtures inside of it as long as it has within it of the 5 grains. V'yash minin kol sheyeshbo, if we only had the one that said kol sheyeshbo, have a mina kol sheyeshbo chamishis minin in, only that something that has within it the 5 minin, yes. Aval oriz v'doche lo, but rice and millet would not be. Mishum dali de taruvas, because they're coming through a mixture. But if it was its entirety in Oris V'dochen, name I would say Afilo Oris V'dochen Nami V'archin Alav Barim Mizonos. Maybe one would in fact have to say Mizonos even on Oris and Dochen. Kamash Malan Kol Shehu Mechamish Zaminin. Who Lafuke, to exclude Oris V'dochen, rice and millet, Tafilu Itzbeine, because even if it's its entirety of rice, a meal or a serving complete of rice, of only rice alone, or of millet alone, Loim B'varchin Barim Mizonos, you're not going to make a Mizonos. Okay, now the Gemara very quickly jumps on this and says, "Va'aris v'deichen loim v'varchina barim mizonos." On rice and millet, one does not say mizonos. But Tanya, I'll teach you a brisa that says, "Heviu lefana pas oris," if they brought before a person bread made out of rice, upas dochin, a bread made out of millet. You make a bracha at the beginning and the end, kemaisa kadera, like a maisa kadera. Okay, a maisa kadera is like some sort of like a cooked food. Okay, Matzah is sort of like this cooked food. So you would make a bar minim zonas like a maisa kadera, like a dish of it's a dish of grain. Okay, that's cooked grain, one of the five species. So you make a bracha beginning of like a maisa kadera. Okay, and what is maisa kadera? V'gabi maisa kadera, and by this dish of cooked grain, we learned. Well, legabi maisa kadera, we learned Tanya b'tchila mevarach ala bar minim zonas. One makes an zonas at the beginning, l'vasov, and at the end, after finishing mevarach ala bracha achas mein shalosh, he says the alamechya, one bracha that is me'ein shalosh, that is a sort of a concise form of the 3 brachas that we know of the full-fledged blessing of Birchat Hamazon. Okay, so you see that you do say mazonas on it. So the Gemara says no, it's k'maisa kader v'lo k'maisa kader. It's like this dish of cooked grain, but it's not like it. K'maisa kader love tchilav sof. In fact, you do make a bracha in the beginning when you first eat it and after you eat it. But like k'maisa kader, but not like k'maisa kader. Ilukab k'maisa kader. When it comes to this cooked grain, this dish of cooked grain, b'tchila bar minim nevzos. Let's say bracha achas min sholosh. She's going to make the alamechia. V'iluhacha, when it comes to the rice or millet bread, b'tchila in the beginning of Baruch shahakol ni b'dvarei, he only makes a shahakol. Okay, so at the end, bar nefashis rabbis v'chasrein and alcohol mashav rasa. Right, we thank Hashem the bracha of bar nefashis, which is a discussion in the commentaries how we read it. Bar nefashis rabbis, Hashem created many souls. V'chasronan, how we read the word v'chasronan. Does v'chasronan mean and their lackings? Mean He created us. He created us with our needs. Or v'chasronan means the things that are missing, meaning He created us and He created also food. Or v'chasrona means He created us. And they say some of the commentaries explain that chesronan would actually mean the our lackings, meaning He created man and He created us with needs. That's one of our greatness is also our ability, our need to be dependent on Hashem. Okay, Kol Mashabrasa. Some also explain that Hashem created 2 things, but chesronan, things that we're missing, meaning like bread and water that we need, and Kol Mashabrasa means all the things He created. He made apples, He made all sorts of wonderful world for us to enjoy that are not necessary in the sense for keeping us alive. Okay, so that's the Gemara comes out with. The Gemara says, wait a minute, is lav ma'isa kederu? Is orez not like a dish of cooked grain? V'hatanya will learn in a brisa. Elohein Maisa Kedera. These are what we are considered Maisa Kedera. Okay, Chilka. Tirgis, Soles, Zeres, Va'arson, Va'ores. Okay, now these are all different kinds of they're all grains, but they're grains that are split in different ways and there are different kinds of fineness and quality. Chilka is if it's split into two, Tatagris if it's split into three, Soles is like fine flour, Zaris if it's split into four, and Irsan if it's split into five. But in any event, included in that list is Oriz, is rice. So we see rice, we would be like Maisa Keter, you would make a Mazonos at the beginning, and a Bracha Achas, Main Shalosh at the end, Nalamechi at the end. So the Gemara says no, because Hamani, who is the author of that Mishnah, of that Brisa? That Brisa is Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri. The Tanya, specifically we have Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri said, Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri Omer, Orez min dagan, who Orez is in fact a kind of grain. The Chayavin al Chamutze Kares, if one would have chametz made out of rice in his house, he would be Chayav Kares. Okay, the death by shortening of the life. Misr de Shemaim, Adam Yetzi b'dei Chavasai Kares, Adam Yetzi by Yedei Chavasai Pesach, and therefore also one could make matzah out of it and also be fulfill his obligation for Pesach matzah. However, Rabbanan lie, but the Rabbanan disagree and they say that Orez is not a min dagan. Okay, says the Gemara. Wait a minute, for Rabbanan lie, the Rabbanan don't. But Tanya learned in another brayse. It says Akais is achita, one who chews chita. Okay, which is wheat. He makes it bari priyadama. Tachna, if he ground it. Afa, if he baked it. Ubishla, or he cooked it. Bisman shaha prusais kayemes. If there are pieces of bread intact. I mean, he made this sort of watery, this dish made out of bread pieces, okay? If the pieces are intact and you could see that it looks like bread, so therefore the bracha one would normally make on bread. Well, and at the end, mavarach, he would in fact bless mavarach alab gimel brachas. He would make the alamichya. Oh, I'm sorry. Gimel brachas is the full benching, the full berachat hamazon. But if they're not recognizable that it's bread, so one would make a mazonos. Okay, so that's the beginning of this brisa. But then the brisa continues, and it says, "Hakosis is oriz." If one chewed rice, he makes an adama. Now, tochno, if he ground it off, if he baked it, or washlo, or he cooked it, afal pisha prusas kayamas. Even though now there are pieces of bread that are of this rice bread, they're intact within this dish. But he makes a bar min at the beginning. Okay, at the end, he's going to make a alamichya. So the Gemara asks, who is the author of this brisa? Money, who is this brisa? If you're going to jump and say, oh, it must be Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri, because he holds it's a min dagan, a kind of grain. Wait a minute. Damar Orez min dagan who hamaitzi lechem min haaretz shalosh brachas by brucha. He said before that you would make an amotzi. According to his opinion, if it's full-fledged grain, you'd make an amotzi and you do a full benching, a full berachat hamazon after. So that can't be him. Elalah must be that's Rabbanan he. It's Rabbanan. Be tiyufta the Rav Shmuel tiyufta. This is a tiyufta. This is a refutation of Rav Shmuel's din that one in fact would make a mazonos on Orez. Okay, and we know the halacha is that one would make a bracha of mazonos and after. We say about nefashos, we don't say the alamichya. Okay, so Amar, we said before, akos zachita, one who chews wheat. But Tanya, wait a minute. Some say that another brisa says you say, "Blessed are you, Hashem, who creates kinds of growings, kinds of plants." Rabbi Yehuda v'Rabbanan. It depends if it's Rabbi Yehuda or it's the Rabbanan. It's not. We learned in our Mishnah. We said on regular vegetables we make an adama. And Rabbi Yehuda says, Hashem created different kinds of greenery because Rabbi Yehuda is very specific about he tries to become as specific as possible regarding each bracha. So therefore, this price that says you say Bar Minis Rhyme specifically about wheat would be Rabbi Yehuda. Okay, so the Gemara continues. Amar, we said hakosis is oris, one who chews rice. And now, if you ground it and you baked it and then you took the pieces and you cooked them into this dish, even though the prusos, the pieces are still intact and you could see that it looks like a bread, but it's because it's rice. So at the end, we said bracha achas mein shalosh. You make an alamichya. But the Gemara asks, what do you mean? We have a brayse that says vatanya l'besof aloklum. You don't make any bracha, meaning not literally any bracha, but you make. This is always a reference to the bar nefashos bracha, not the alamichya. Some Rav Sheshes lo kasha. It's not a question. Haragam lil v'harabanan. This is Rabbi Gamliel's opinion. This is Rabbanon's opinion. The Tanya we learned in a Braita. It says Zeha Klal. This is the general rule. Kol shuhu mishivas haminim. Anything that's of the 7 minim, 7 species. Rabbi Gamliel Amar Shalosh Brachos. You are going to make a full blessing of the Birchat Hamazon after eating them. V'chacham Omer Bracha Achas Mein Shalosh. You only make the ala 8s. Or the ala gefen and the ala michya, okay, but you only make the shortened version of the shalosh. There's a story of Gamliel and the elders. They were in an attic. They were in a second floor in Jericho in Yericho. They brought before them dried dates. Okay, these are these kinds of dates. And this is the dvash, by the way, Rashi points out, the dvash of the Shivas Aminim, that we know that there's honey. The dvash over there is a reference to the honey of dates. Not actually the honey of bees, but the honey of dates. Okay, it says dates, the sweetness of the dates. So that the Eretz Zavas Chol Dvash, the commentaries explain that the land flowing milk and honey is because the animals would be grazed and they would eat the dates, and their milk, the milk that they would they would be milked, and the milk that would come out would actually be milk that was that was fed from these extra super sweet dates, the honey of the dates. So it's actually the honey of the dates mixed with the milk of the cows or of the goats and sheep. So that would create the Eretz Zavas Chol Dvash. Okay, so they were in an attic and they brought them before these dates to eat. He told Rabbi Akiva, you can do the honor of benching at the end. And again, Rabbi Gamliel's opinion was that one would say the full Birchat Hamazon after. So Kafat, he jumped to Barach Rabbi Akiva Bracha Achas Mein Shalosh, and he just, instead of doing the benching, the full Birchat Hamazon, he only said the Bracha Achas Mein Shalosh. So Amar later Rabbi Gamliel turned to Rabbi Akiva and he said, Akiva, until when are you going to keep putting your head into the machlokas? Even though you say this, and your friends say that you should do the bracha achas min shalosh, you taught us, Rebbe, the yachid rab malacha karabim. Okay, and therefore I can't go like your opinion, even though you're my Rebbe, and I have to go like the opinion of the chacham. Okay, so the Gemara continues. Rehuda says in his name, and his name is Rabbi Gamliel, that no, kol shu mishivas hamin, anything that's one of the 7 species that Eretz Yisrael is praised for, v'loy min daganu. Okay, it's not going to be a min dagan, or min dagan, or it is a min dagan, but it is a kind from grain. So possibly he didn't make it a bread. Rabbi Gamliel or shalosh brachas. You're going to make a shalosh brachas. The chacham say bracha achas mein shalosh. Okay, you're going to make a bracha achas mein shalosh. But kol she'ein loy mishivas haminim, but anything that's not from the 7 species, loy min dagan. It's not a kind of grain. Kagoin pas oris, like bread made out of rice, v'toichan, or millet. She's going to move it down a notch. Rabbi Gamliel is going to say that you're going to say the ala mechia. You're actually going to only do the bar nefashis. So Gemara says, how do we establish it? Rabbi Gamliel, we said the brisa must be going like Rabbi Gamliel. Ema seifa. What about brisa? It said, Ema seifa the ratio, the end of the ratio, which said, Emein haprusas kayamis, if the pieces are not intact. We said you're going to make a mazanis. So we'll say, so money. Who is that? Rabbi Gamliel. If it's Rabbi Gamliel, hashtag kasavis v'daisa. Rabbi Gamliel give him a bracha. So Rabbi Gamliel is going to say on a kasavis, on a date, if one ate date or daisa or this portage, one's going to make a full blessing of the bircha of the gimel brachas of the whole birchas hamazon. It may not prusas kayamis min bayit. If this is real bread, but you just can't recognize that it's bread from the pieces, is it going to be a question according to Rabbi Gamliel? So that wouldn't make sense. El pshita rabbanon must be the rabbanon. So yachi kash rabbanon. The rabbanon, we had a question. The rabbanon because the problem with the rice. So the Gemara says lo'ilam rabbanon. Really, it's rabbanon. But tani gabi eres l'psaif ein varach halav v'loy klum. And now we come out with the halacha that we are forced to amend the language of the brisa to say that actually after eating a rice, one's going to make a mazonos at the beginning, but at the end they're going to make a mevarach halav v'loy klum. They're only going to make a bar nefashis. Okay, Amar Rava. Now we have the Gemara continues and goes on further to explain the different halachas about the brachas that we're going to make on these things. So Amar Rava, Hai Rita Techaklai. Okay, this Rita Techaklai is a is a kind of dish that's made by the villagers. It's a dish made of flour, honey, and oil that's congealed together in a pot. Okay, the mafshebe kimcha, if there's a lot of flour in it, mevarach bar minim in the sun, so you're gonna make them zonos. My time, what's the reason? The smeda ikr, because the grain is the ikr. Okay, but the mechuza, the same pot mix that's made by the city people, they don't put a lot of flour in it. You're going to actually only make a shahakal. My time, what's the reason? Because duf shaker, because there the honey is the main, the primary part of the dish. Okay, and then Rava retracted and said, both of them you're going to make it mizos. Why? To Rabbi Shmuel, like we quoted before, both of them said, Kol sheyesh boy michamishes aminin, anything that has within it the 5 minim, mevarach and Allah bar minim zos, you're going to make a mizos. Okay? Amar Rav Yosef. Rav Yosef said, Hi chavitza de ispe perun kazayas. Okay? This chavitza, Rashi says it's a cooked dish that's made from different pieces, from pieces of bread that are together. De ispe perun kazayas, if it has pieces of bread that are the size of an olive, betchilu mevarach alav moitz lechem min aretz. One's going to make hamoitzi at the beginning, ulb'sayif mevarach alav shalosh brachos. But to leslie perun kazayas, if it doesn't have pieces of bread in it that are the size of a kazayas, betchilu mevarach alav bar minim zayas, you're going to make them zayas. Ulb'sayif bracha achas me'in shalosh, you're only going to make an ala michya. And I'm Rav Yosef, and Mina, I mean Allah. Rav Yosef said, how do I know this halacha? The Tanya, we have a brayso that says, one who's standing and bringing minchas, the minchas in Yerushalayim. Now, the Aymer Baruch Shechianu v'Kiyimanu Giyanu Lazman Hazeh. Okay, he makes a Shechianu. Now, not lan la'achlan, if he takes it to eat it, not lan la'achlan, if he takes it to eat it, Mavarach alav of Moitzi Lechem min Aretz. V'Tanya Alam, we learned, the Kulan Paisasin Kazayis. Okay, the Kulan Paisasin Kazayis, Rashi says, Kloimer Boitzayin Kaidim Kamitza, Boitzayin says Petitin Kazayisin. And all the pieces there were the size of a Kazayis. Okay, Amalei Abaya. So Rava says from there I learned that it only could be that as long as how do I know this didn't be because the fact that they had a kazayas on it, that's why one's going to make a hamotzi. Amalei Abaya. Abaya says El Me'ata. The Tanabe Rabbi Yehuda Daimer Paruchanat Shematzrin L'Sels, and according to the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda that says that you actually take these pieces that were put into the kazayas and then you go again and you actually grind them again until they become fine flour with the mincha. Hachanami Delay by Bruchi Amitzilachem and Arch. They should make it hamotzi. I mean, if you're going to say, maybe in fact you're right, maybe they shouldn't say hamotzi, maybe they should only say mezainis. But tiny will in the rice that says, look at mikulan kazayas. If he took from all of the kazayas, v'achlan he ate them, im chametzu oynish karas, his punishment is going to be karas. V'matzahu, if it's matzah, on v'etz pesach, he could be yotze his chi of a pesach of eating matzah. So the Gemara wants to know, what's that talking about? Bisharsa, where the Bisharsa means where he stuck them together and he made them and he put them and baked them again. Okay, so Ihachi in the Seifa says as long as he ate them in the time of an achilas pras, as long as time it takes to eat pasailas in a pras. Okay, there's a certain amount of time. The if it's that he put them all back together and stuck it together into a big piece. Hai sha'achlan, that he ate them is mashma little pieces. Sha'achlumi baile, that he ate it. So the Gemara says, where it came from a big piece, and now he crushed into small pieces, made back into bigger pieces, put it into the oven, but it's still in smaller pieces. Okay, still not as big as the big piece that it was originally. So the Gemara asks, what's the din? Rav Sheshes says that in conclusion of this din, Rav Sheshes is going to come out, and he says, I'm sorry, we're about 15 lines from the bottom. Rav Sheshes, Hai Chavitza. This chavitza, even though it has less than there's pieces that are less than size of kazayas, one is in fact going to make a hamotzi lechem haaretz. Okay, okay, that's only if it has the form or the appearance of bread. Okay, now what about turkinin? He says turkinin is this chayav and b'chala is chayav and chala. Okay, and the Gemara asks, "V'chias Rabin Amar Rav Yochanan Turkin Petur Mechala." So the Gemara asks, "My Turkin, what is this Turkin in?" Amar Rabaya Kova Dahara. Kova Dahara means that you make it actually. They used to have like a small indentation or a hole inside the oven itself, and they would pour water and flour there, and they would allow it to bake inside this hole. It's like a deep baking. Okay, and therefore it's machlokes whether it's patur Mechala or chayav Mechala. V'Amar Rabaya Trisa is Petur Mechala. Okay. Now, what is this trisa? This trisa. So we'll see in a minute.
So the Gemara says, my Teresa, what is this Teresa? My Teresa, some say that it's this Gavil Mertach. It's like a mixture of flour and water, which is poured on top of the stove top. That is this Indian bread, or it's that's dough they roasted on a spit, and they actually smeared it with oil. Sometimes they put white eggs on it. Rashi says, but in any event, it's called Na'amad Anka. Some say lachem asumi kutach. It's a dish that's prepared by cooking. It's like basically having this whey with bread and salt together. That's called asui lekutach. Tani Rebchia lechem asui lekutach is patur min chala. Okay, Vatani, we learned Vatani in the rest that says Chai B'chala. Hoskin, Tani time in Rehuda, Rehuda says Masel Mechichin Alel. Asan Ka'avin, if you made it thick. Chayavim Kalamudin, if you made these maludim, like these boards, then it's gonna be potter. Okay, because you can see that he wasn't makbid on their baking properly, and the ideal of challah is it has to be considered real bread to be chayiv in challah. Okay, and that basically that's the idea over here. So all these discussions are about whether there are the shame of real lechem could fall on top of them. Okay, so we'll take it tomorrow from Daf Lamed Ches.